Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and it's time for another installment of A to Z of Queer Lit. If you've never seen one of these before, it's pretty simple. You try to come up with a queer book for every letter of the alphabet, hoping that that letter is either in the title or in the author's name. This is also pretty exciting because this is the 10th time I've done this challenge. I actually haven't posted one of these since last May, and I actually have almost enough books for 2 more lists. I'm just missing 1 book for the 12th list, so hopefully I will film these more often because I seem to be putting them off. Since I've done this 9 times previously, that playlist will be linked down below, so after you watch this video, if you want to watch all those videos, that would be lovely. Additionally, I'm sorry I didn't dress up or do anything extravagant with my makeup for this video like I did during the first few videos I did for this series. It's mostly because I have the house to myself, which almost never happens, and then I thought to myself, I should film a video. Since we're in the middle of a West Coast rainstorm, I'm still in my cozy robe because otherwise I would be very, very cold. And that's also my way of warning you that at some point in this video it might actually just start downpouring and I'm not going to be able to edit that out. It's kind of my favorite sound in the world, but I know that some people don't really like extra sounds in their videos, so who knows? It probably won't happen, but I'm warning you anyway. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. I make videos about queer content, but I also make videos about everything I read, watch, and listen to on a weekly basis, and I've been doing that for over 5 years, so please check those out. Alright, without any further ado, let's go through these 26 queer books. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth with all of these. If you want to know my more expanded thoughts on any of these, you can literally type my name and the book title into the search bar, and it will come up with a weekly entertainment wrap-up where I talked about it, and probably also the monthly wrap-up where I talked about it. And then if you go into any of the videos, I've actually put chapters in all my videos, so you can just click on the book title you are interested in hearing more about. A is for Ace, What Sexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. This is the book to read if you want to know about asexuality because it goes into intersections of that. It talks about people are ace but also different marginalizations and what that looks like and how it's perceived by the outside world. I love this book so much that I bought a copy specifically so my partner could read it. B is for Small Courage by Jane Byers. This one is a memoir about 2 women adopting 2 children and then living in a small BC town and what all of that looked like. There were definitely some challenges in this process. Firstly, the children are multiracial and they are both white women, if I'm remembering correctly, as well as they had to get to know the foster parents of the children first, who were very religious and taken aback by the fact that 2 women were adopting together. C is for The Gospel of Breaking by Gillian Christmas. This is a poetry collection that came out in 2020 by a Black queer author. Need I say more? D is for The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow, and this really harkens back to how long it's been since I did one of these lists because I read this book over a year ago, I'm pretty sure. This one is about a world that has been taken over by aliens and a girl that has a secret library on that world where all art has meant to be destroyed, but she hasn't done that. She also meets up with one of these aliens who is really drawn to human music, and a friendship forms from there. E is for Freshwater by Kweke Emezi. This book follows Ada growing up in Nigeria and later moving to the United States, and has to do with a whole host of things, and I always feel like I'm really bad at explaining this one, so I'm not going to. Kweke Emezi's writing speaks for itself. F is for Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy. This is a novel tie-in to a graphic novel series and is the origin story of the superhero that goes by the name of Faith. She's fat, she's queer, she's nerdy, and she could fly. Honestly, she has my heart. G is for The Ghost We Keep by Mason Deaver. This story is about a non-binary protagonist whose older brother has recently died and the grief of that situation. H is for The Last Night in Nuuk by Niviaq Corneliuson. This short book, translated from Greenlandic, centers 5 different people who live in the same city and whether or not they are related in any way. I'll just put it like that because it's really interesting to find out how their lives are interwoven. I is for I'll Be Home for Christmas, also by Mason Deaver. This one is a follow-up to I Wish You All the Best, so you should probably read that one before reading this one, but it's basically a short story that happens around Christmas time after the events of that book. It was very charming and heartwarming. J is for Johnny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead. This one concerns a two-spirit indigiqueer character trying to get to a funeral. K is for The Witch King by H.E. Edgman. This is a fantastic opening to a series. Our main character is a trans boy who used to live in Fairy, used to be betrothed to the person who would eventually become king, but then ran away from that situation because he was no princess. L is for The Passing Playbook by Isaac Fitzsimmons. This one is about a trans boy who moves to another school and just wants to play his favorite sport. M is for The Black Veins by Asia Monet. This is a found family story about all of these teenagers with powers coming together to save their families. N is for Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars by Kai Cheng Tom. This one is fiction but draws on some autobiographical details and was just actually fascinating to listen to. If you want a book with queer, trans, people of color vigilantes, this is one to look into. O is for Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Amide. This book centers around two people of color who go to the same school but don't have all that much to do with each other. However, an anonymous source named Aces brings them together when they start revealing their secrets. P is for The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. This book is much more expanded than the movie they made out of it, so if you've only ever seen the movie, I do suggest reading the book. This one has to do with a girl who is found out to be queer and then is sent to conversion therapy. Q is for Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. The author of this one is non-binary, uses AM pronouns, and this is a graphic novel of airtime growing up and understanding who they are. R is for Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This one has a lot to do with microaggressions, and that's basically the biggest takeaway I remember from this one. I read it last summer, so I'm a little hazy on the details. But this one takes place over the course of a weekend. S is for Cattywampus by Ash Van Otterloo. This is about two girls that live in the same small town. One of them is intersex, and both of them have magic powers passed down from their relatives. However, they're not really supposed to be messing with it, and because this is a middle grade story, I think you can tell that they mess with it. T is for That Could Be Enough by Alyssa Cole. This is a sapphic novella that takes place around the era of Hamilton. U is for The Summer of Us by Cecilia Vaness. This one has to do with a group of students who have recently graduated and are going on a tour of Europe together. V is for 15,000 Miles from the Sun by Johnny Garzafia. What would happen if you accidentally outed yourself on Twitter and then your Twitter crush slid into your DMs? W is for Spring Rain by Andy Warner. This has to do with a semester abroad in Beirut and coming out as queer, as well as, I believe, an exploration of mental health, if I'm remembering. It's been a while. This one is also a graphic novel. X is for Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. This one has to do with a prince who is suddenly called up to marry somebody for a political alliance, and he has to deal with the fact that this man is clearly grieving the loss of his cousin who was previously married to him, and the fact that he now apparently has to do things for the family and the monarchy and the empire and all of that stuff. Y is for Bedazzled by Ryan LaSala. This one has to do with cosplay and messy breakups. And finally, for Z or Z, depending on the way you say it, we have Crosshairs by Catherine Hernandez. This one takes place in a not too distant future in Ontario where any form of other has been outlawed, and it takes place in a world where people outside of Canada have no idea that people of color, queer people, people with disabilities are being basically put into work camps. This book has to do with a group of rebels who are trying to show the outside world what is happening so they can stop it. And there you go, 26 queer book recommendations. As I said before, I will link down below the other videos I've done in this series. And make sure you're subscribed so you know the next time I post one of these videos. Also be sure to like and share this video if you can, because anything that's marked as queer on YouTube is kind of devalued by the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!